What's up, everybody? It's not midnight, but it's nighttime. We're right in the middle of the NFL draft here on Orange Bloods Live. I'm Jeff Ketchum. That's Anwar Richardson. We're doing a little breaking news, breaking stuff. The Longhorns with 3 first-round draft picks for the first time since 1980, 1981. I forget what that official number was. Huge day, though, for Texas tonight as Kelvin Banks, Jahdae Barron, and Matthew Golden all go in the first round. First round still going on. Jackson Dart just selected over Shedeur Sanders in the first round of the NFL draft.
What did you just say?
Yeah, no, that happened.
That happened?
That happened. And by the way, you know what? I will give out a shout out. I think On3 ranked Jackson Dart as a 5-star, and they were the only ones to do so. And you know what? I'll give you an attaboy when he ends up being a first-round draft pick and nobody else had him as – although it looks like ESPN had him at 19 in the country. I don't know why that wouldn't have been a 5-star. Yeah, but the Longhorns on war for a moment as Matthew Golden started to slip into the mid-20s.
Yeah.
I was thinking, oh, God, is it going to be midnight before we do the show? And then – is that going to be the lead that the guy that didn't get drafted and slipped into the second round is the headline? But no, the headline is the Longhorns have a historic night. Steve Sarkisian has some of his dudes really go in the first round that are kind of foundation guys for him. And both, you think about Kelvin Banks. I mentioned to Chad earlier today that Matthew Golden is the poster boy now for the portal, where it's like, look, if you're a receiver – you come here between him and Adonai Mitchell, they've got a thing now where I don't know why you wouldn't want to go to Texas if you're a big-time portal wide receiver because the proof is in the pudding. So a really low-key, important big night for the Longhorns.
Yeah, I mean, it's major. It's major. It's so funny. That someone posted on Orange Bloods. I think it was last night, and they said something, and you had chimed in before I did about, hey Anwar, this is finally the team that you're getting a chance to cover. That it basically ignore 2014 and 2021, and you're finally getting it right. And this is finally the thing that Steve Sarkisian has been building for. Catch, I mentioned a story on my show this morning, right? And I mentioned where you and I had conversations about becoming the Orange Bloods. And it put Texas a little bit more on my radar, just watching it, right? It's 2014. I'm at Yahoo. I'm covering the NFL draft. I'm on the Saturday, I don't really think I've noticed anybody from Texas, their name being called. And I start going through it, and it's probably 5th round or so, 6th round. And I'm like, ain't nobody from Texas being called yet. I said, so let me pay attention to this. And I'm watching this, right? Because I'm talking to this guy named Jeff Ketchum in Austin, Texas. He's telling about the Texas Longhorns. And as you know, when it's all said and done, Texas doesn't have anybody drafted. We go Charlie Strong, a couple guys drafted here and there. You got Tom Herman, some guys drafted here and there. And then Steve Sarkisian gets here. And after his first season, once again, Catch, no one's drafted. And we're just kind of thinking to ourselves, damn, can he just not develop talent? And in hindsight, what we learned is, no, he can't develop bad talent, but he can develop good talent. And here we are, several years later, Catch, he's got 3 first-round picks. And we always talked about the skill position, Catch, because all the years I've been here, the skill position has been a tough one for Texas to develop. Back-to-back years, Xavier Worthy, Matthew Golden, back-to-back as far as receivers are concerned. He's able to put an offensive lineman in the first round. Catch, tell me, do you have that? When's the last time Texas put an offensive lineman in the first round of a draft? Do you have that off the top of your head?
I mean, you have to go back to the turn of the century when they go back-to-back with Leonard Davis and Mike Williams as top 5 picks. But, that was the 2000 and 2001 drafts. Like I had to go back and remember which ones those were. They were pretty close together though. So, but that would be it. They haven't had a first round offensive lineman since Mike Williams. They've had some guys get drafted and be good players, but Kelvin Banks, I think he's the foundation along with Quinn Ewers, but I almost think of Kelvin Banks as the guy that really kickstarted the Steve Sarkisian era in Austin. Really, with all due respect to a lot of guys that might, Xavier Worthy could certainly be a guy that might qualify as a person like that. There are a number of guys, Quinn Ewers, but Kelvin Banks, it was a hard recruiting battle. They lost him originally. Then NIL kicks in. He's a day one starter. He starts against Alabama at home. Like it just feels like when the program really started to get good, it got good because Kelvin Banks was there. That he solved an issue and a problem that without him, they probably don't go 8-5 in that second year. That's
Catch, you and I joke about this, and you know where I'm going, but you and I joke about having battles if there's an offensive lineman who's good.
Yeah.
Like
we might do it this year.
We were nitpicking simplistically who might be good, not first round good. We're like, could he be on an all-conference SEC team?
Yeah.
Never drafted, kind of good. And then Texas is able to get a guy like Kelvin Banks, and to your point, to be able to get a 5-star offensive lineman and really have him kind of, and catch, we know as relates to Kelvin Banks, he didn't come in January. That guy came in the summer. And from day one, you remember our reports back then? We were like, man, we heard Kelvin Banks is that dude. And and he took over from there. So, that was kind of the crown jewel for them, that however it happened when Mario Cristobal and he's out of Oregon, he goes to Miami, and Kelvin Banks decided I'm going to come to Texas. Doesn't matter. History, all that matters is he got here and he started. And he ends up being just, he goes to New Orleans. What an emotional moment that was, Catch. Just seeing that, the emotions coming out of him.
His little baby threw up on live TV. Is going to be a meme for the rest of time?
Hey, listen, you and I have dads. We know them kids don't give a damn, man. Like, your baby, if that baby has some milk and that baby is like, I ain't feeling it right now. You and I both have been in our shirts been covered and
everything's been covered on war. Everything's been covered.
We know what that's. All we say is, Kelvin, we know we know what that's like, man. Hey, man, hang in there. Get that baby to sleep.
One thing I would also say about Banks before we move on to the other guys and then get out of here so that we can sleep or watch the rest of the draft or both. Whichever one, depending on how the rest of this, I think the first round's gone pretty quickly though. Like
it's gone pretty quick. Because after we get to Texas, I want to do some quick, just general thoughts too.
Well, I just wanted to say about Banks that I can't help but be reminded of Sark's first year and you asking the offensive line question in the press conference about recruiting. And he was like, hey, man, we can get, I don't remember 5. I don't remember what the number was, but he was like, we can get 5 offensive linemen if we want 5 offensive linemen.
It's true. Yeah, man, I forgot about that.
We want a certain kind of offensive lineman, and that's who we're going for. And he was talking about Kelvin Banks and DJ Campbell.
Yeah, you're right.
Yep. And it was there. That was so when we talk about the importance of Kelvin Banks in the Steve Sarkisian era, that was the first time Sarkisian was saying, look, man, I expect myself to be a badass recruiter. So I'm not trying to get these scrubs. I'm going to get big dogs. And you'll forgive me if I don't panic and flinch and take some mid-level guys when, no offense to anybody out there, but like I think we're going to get our guys. And Banks is the first guy that, okay. Because when that happened, we referenced that moment in real time a lot. We were like, whoa, kudos to Sark, because a couple of months ago, this is what he was talking about. And tonight, kudos. It's a big win for Sark. It's a big win for Kyle Flood. I'm reminded of Michael Fasusi a year ago. And look, they're trying to close a deal on Felix Ojo. What was I saying about Michael Fasusi's recruitment? Kyle Flood is the offensive line coach of the Stars.
Yeah.
You give him 5 stars, he turns them into first-round draft picks. And at the time, it was like, Bedenbaugh, the guy at Oklahoma, is a fantastic offensive line coach, but like he doesn't do that. He takes under-the-radar guys and turns them in, at times, into 5 stars. Kyle Flood doesn't do that. What he does is he takes guys like Kelvin Banks and he turns them into Outland Trophy winners and he puts them into the first round, and it's what he's kind of done his entire career. And I think it was important that Kyle Flood have his guy, one of his guys, do this so that they all can kind of move on from the Alabama thing in terms of who did you produce. Sark said it, when Ewers gets drafted, it will be a notable thing because they'll be able to say, well, that's my first quarterback at Texas that's been drafted. And I'm getting ready to go into year 5, and it's about time I have one of those. So, I think that there's a lot of little notable things taking place, and I think a lot of guys are getting attaboys and check marks, deservedly so.
Hey, Catch, just so you know, though, but if you're Kyle Flood in another year or so, you're going to say, yeah, Catch, I agree with you, but look at Trevor Gooseby.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And he's going to point to that and say, I know what my reputation is, but look what I did with a 270-pound basketball player, and look what he transitioned into. Right?
First of his career, like the Gooseby thing can't be talked about enough about what kind of a unicorn he's emerging into, especially if he ends up. I think he's going to be a first-round draft pick.
It's going to be a catch. Do you look? Do we know the NFL loves guys who are raw, who these guys can look at and like, oh my God, I can develop that. That's better than a finished product.
He could go higher than 9 because the thing that he won't have to deal with is all this BS that Banks dealt with about, well, is he a guard or a tackle? And is he a natural pass blocker at the next level? I mean, yes.
No, he's going to be raw and athletic. He's going to test off the charts, and they're going to just fight each other for that. So he will have the Kelvin Banks of the world and the DJ Campbells and everything you talk about Alabama. But I guarantee you, in a year or 2 from now, Catch, he's going to say, and look what I did with that guy.
Yeah. It will be his first Rivals 3-star in his entire career that he will have developed into an NFL player that he recruited and then developed. And so, and look, I think it wouldn't shock me if Trevor Gooseby's a top 5 pick next year. Like that, I don't feel like that's crazy talk. I think he is. They knew he was good at this. The story real quick about Gooseby that I'll just forever remember is the offensive lineman prospect Lamont Rogers coming in last spring.
Yeah,
and they're like in a smattering of reporters, right? Mm-hmm. He's asked, "Well, what stood out to you today?" And Kelvin Banks is on the field. Like he could have said anything, and he was like, "You know what I noticed? That backup left tackle, Trevor Gooseby, that dude's good." And I remember as soon as I heard that, I was like, oh, well, Lamont Rogers just told us he ain't trying to mess with that. And
you know what's crazy? When I heard that, initially, I was like, what the hell is this guy talking about? And then it all kind of unfolded. And I was like, oh, Lamont Rogers got a really keen eye. Because I was like, there's no way this dude went to a practice, looked at Trevor Goosby, no disrespect to the Goosby family, and said, oh man, I need to go somewhere else. I'm like, come on, there's got to be something. There has to be something. Maybe they didn't put enough Snickers in the bag, or
dude, I'm telling you, I've been doing this like 30 years. I've never heard that happen before,
ever.
And
then, so to your point,
Goosby hadn't even played in a game yet at that point.
No, so I was like, what the hell? Who's reporting this? What y'all talking about? And then come to find out, it's like, oh, because
you know what they do with guys like Goosby when they haven't played at all? They tell a guy like Lamont Rogers, man, he ain't shit. You're going to come in.
Correct.
All we got is a guy that was a 3-star last year. That's the only thing keeping you from playing. They're telling Lamont Rogers, come on, big boy. Yeah. There's a wide open playing path right for you to go right onto the field when Kelvin Banks leaves. And he showed up and was like, I don't know what you guys are trying to tell me.
Yeah.
But that dude.
Correct. Yes.
That dude is not some like nobody 3-star that I should just ignore.
Man, okay. So can I so can I tell you like
thoughts? Give me some first round thoughts. Because here's what I don't want to do. I don't want it to be 11 o'clock and you and I just had a good time for an hour. Like we do need to like let's keep 13 more minutes.
Okay, perfect. So can I tell you on some funny shit right now? John A. Barrett gets drafted by the Broncos. And you know what all I can think about? Caden Stearns.
Oh, man. I didn't think about it, but as soon as you started to talk and you said, all I could think about, that was the thing that popped into my mind.
Caden Stearns versus Brennan Eagles. I
wasn't thinking about that. I just thought of Caden Stearns, but yes, there is that. Yes.
That's just a you and I conversation. Happy for John A. to to be able to be not a first round pick, to develop himself. If we talked about Catch. Now, all jokes aside, you talked about like Texas being able to hang their hat and say, hey, offensive line, and then being able to do that, right? And then if you're Texas, the one thing Sark's been able to really sell is being patient and waiting your turn and waiting for your time. And if you do this and you believe in me, I promise you it's going to pay off for you. And you and I go back about 2 years ago. And we remember hearing about John A. Barron and the potential NIL deal, wanting a little bit more, right? And then maybe there's a possibility that John A. leaves. And
the thought process is that he thought the story is that he thought he could get a big deal from Oregon.
Yeah.
And Texas was like, we don't think that deal exists. But if you want to go find out, you can. And in the end, like it didn't happen. It didn't go into the portal.
But they did give him a bump in NIL.
Well, and what they told him and what their kind of creed has been is that once you become a starter, don't you worry, we're going to take care of you. But don't come to us before you're even doing anything yet. And I think what John A. Barron would probably tell you now in retrospect is like, yo, did Texas take care of you? Yeah, they did. Ultimately, yeah, they really did. But yeah, like, he is one of the early poster boys for, hey, man, what's this new NIL thing about? I want some of that. And, I think the people at Texas would say he and Xavier Worthy, we will remember them as fantastic success stories, but they will be two of the more curious examples of what it was like in the early days of NIL and the transfer portal, and how there was almost some close calls. But in the end, these guys end up being kind of Longhorn legends.
They are. And at the end of the day, Texas takes care of them for a total that catch you and I would look at now and be like, that's a discount.
Well, he did all of what he got in 1 year now.
Correct. Like, and so, and you look at Jade, and he'll be, there's always two stories as relates to the draft, right, Catch? There's a story of the number of 5-stars who make it and get drafted. And the second story is the number of guys who are not 5-stars and develop into pros. And the one thing that Sark worked with Jade and talked to him was like, hey, stay with me, come back for another year. I promise you, I believe that you can become something. And then what happens with Jade? He says, all right, I'm going to come back. They move him to a cornerback position, Catch, and he becomes the best cornerback in all of college football. He becomes a guy that we see him get drafted in the first round. And it won another feather in his cap, but catch whether it's Jade, Jordan Whittington, Roshan Johnson, Keelan Robinson, you go down the list, all it is start saying like, hey man, if you just are patient and play under me, your draft stock is going to get increased. Whether you're first rounder, fourth rounder, seventh rounder, just stay here. Yeah. And so Jade becomes another example where we start talking about, hey, what did Texas accomplish in this draft? Another one of the things that they've accomplished is to be able to say, hey, just be patient and stay here. And this is why you don't it catches why you don't see a ton of guys who are key for Texas going into the portal, because they're like, man, if I hang around here, shit, I could be a backup and get drafted. I ain't going nowhere.
Well, no, like there's, someone asked me something the other day, and it was like we were talking about the scholarship board, and I said, look, there's a couple of guys on here. Look, Michael Kern's a good example. He goes into the portal today, and the sense that I got on the Michael Kern situation was that they told him, they were pretty honest with him, and I put this in the war room tonight, but they told him, look, the transfer from Utah has won the job. He's won the job. He's got a big NIL deal. It's his show. And I don't think they pushed him out. Like from what it was indicated to me, they gave him an opportunity to say, hey, you're going to basically not play this year, but we do think you're really good. We think you had a good camp, and next year you can be the guy. But that's not ultimately the kid felt like, no, like next year, maybe you could also bring in yet another transfer guy. And like, I'm in the same situation. And so ultimately he had to make the decision to leave. But one of the things that he could just as easily have thought to himself was, well, it doesn't get better than this.
Correct.
Where am I going from here where everything about this is on the level? And, I think there are guys that are on the roster right now with all of these examples now that they can look at, because I think you make several great points. You think about that Sark got Arch Manning to wait until his third year is something that has never happened before. And this goes along with the theme of kind of what we're talking about, Sark's ability to really sell the idea, hey man, hang with me, be patient. I won't let you down. It's a hard thing to sell without something to back it up. And now that he's got multiple examples now of these things working, it makes it so much easier for him. And he does. He has players that believe it. I think Jalen Gilbo thinks of himself as, well, now I get to be the next Baron. And there will be somebody that thinks, yep, it's Gilbo's turn, but next year I'll be the guy. And they'll take pride in the tradition of kind of taking on this patient, it's your time to shine. I don't know. It's a cool thing that he's got going. Barb's 10's got a super chat, and it will allow us to integrate the Matthew Golden discussion. Biggest head scratcher picks in the first round. I've got a couple in my head, but and actually, Barb's, it's not Matthew Golden. Because every year there are themes in the draft. And this year's theme seems to be big dudes. One of the surprises with me was Tyler Booker went to the Cowboys at 12. Okay. But then there was a guy from North Dakota State that went. And then, a guy from Missouri went in front of Kelvin Banks. There were just a lot of big guys on offense that went. And then, Walter Nolan gets drafted and Kenneth Grant gets drafted. And then Mason Graham got drafted. Oh, by the way, that Texas offensive line kicked those guys' asses last year. And yet
mollywopped them.
I mean, in the fourth quarter of that game, Texas wore their ass out. And yet those two guys went, and I'm not saying they didn't rightfully go in the top 13. It's fascinating the way last season started with that group and how it ended and the discussions we've had this spring. But Barb's, my biggest surprise, it's Colton Loveland going to the Bears at 10 before Tyler Warren was drafted out of Penn State. I mean, there were suggestions that Tyler Warren might have gone in the top 5. And he ends up going 14 to the Colts. But I didn't see another tight end going in front of Tyler Warren. It just never even crossed my mind as a possibility.
Can I say what I want to say?
Yeah.
And
of course.
I've been very consistent on this. Mock drafts are bullshit. I
should have known.
You should have known. Okay, dude. We worked with me for over a decade. You should have already known.
I can't believe you. In retrospect, I can't believe it hasn't already been said.
Mock drafts are bullshit. I say this every year, and I have to reiterate myself every year. The people who put together mock drafts don't know what the hell they're talking about. I've worked in the NFL. I've seen this catch. Teams have their own boards. They put their boards up there. The people who are reporters don't know who's on whose board at all these teams. They all are guessing. So they all put together their mock drafts. You know what they do? They listen to some piss-ass little regional scout who's like, yeah, man, I think Shedeur Sanders is going to go in the first round because, and you know what happens with that little piss-ass little regional scout? He gives his paperwork. He goes, hey, I did the regional scouting here, and I got some guys on my list that I think are fantastic, coach, and I think you should draft them. This guy's got a first round grade. This guy's got a second round grade. You know what that coach does? Hey, thank you, dude.
I've never heard you do Schmeigel from Lord of the Rings before. That was awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So all these guys suck. And it's just like, you can do your little hey, mock draft 5.0, mock draft 5.2, mock draft. No, bitch, you don't know what you're talking about. So everybody who does this stuff, they always hey, I can't believe this guy fell. No, you know what I can't believe? That you don't know anybody in the building who can tell you that bitch was never going to be ranked high anyway.
Can I give one shout out to a local media person in the Metroplex?
Who?
Just because he's a former Rivals guy and he works with the Star Telegram.
Who?
About 10 minutes before the Tyler Booker pick went down. Nick Harris, former Rivals.com recruiting guy, now works for the Star Telegram with Clarence.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, the Cowboys were still a couple of picks away. And it's like, just had two team sources tell me that the Cowboys have zeroed in on Alabama offensive lineman Tyler Booker. And I literally I screamed at him with all caps. You got to be shitting me on Twitter. Like, what? Because we were all having the Matthew Golden conversation. And Jesus Christ, Tyler Warren was sitting right there. Like, so shout out to Nick Harris. I don't know who his two sources were, but they were right. And I kept my mouth shut for 10 minutes on the Orange Bloods draft thread because people were talking about, you think it's going to be Matthew Golden? And I was like, I'm not going to put the spoiler in this thread because you are going to lose your freaking mind. And then they took Tyler Booker, and then everybody lost their mind.
Yeah, well,
shout out to Nick Harris because that's the first time I can remember a Cowboys reporter leaking out a pick like that and it making me have the visceral WTF reaction that it did. Like that, I will remember that happened for a while.
All right, so a couple other things.
That Matthew Golden suit was sick. I liked it.
It was pretty dope. And him coming out to the Packer Nation was kind of dope too. I like everything that Matthew
cut us, dude. He's gonna be at SummerSlam. They're gonna have him fight Travis Scott.
No, he's amazing. Like, he's good. So there's a couple of things, right? There's a couple of things I want to say. First of all, we're just like in bullshit territory. So the Travis Hunter thing. First of all, here's one thing I like about Travis Hunter. Dude he likes life.
Yeah,
right?
He's authentically just bubbly.
He's goofy, but I like that he's cool with himself. Right?
He's a YouTuber generation. He reminds me of my kids. I can absolutely see Maximus in Travis Hunter.
I don't think Max doesn't have that rhythm though to dance though.
No, but
he has the athleticism, but he don't have the rhythm though.
Travis Hunter last year during the season was live streaming video game stuff on YouTube, not watching college football at all. Yeah. He beats to his own drum. I like him. He's an interesting dude. I like him.
You know what? And no matter what, Catch, I'll say this. If you're Jacksonville and you're like, man, that's our guy, man, I'm not even going to be mad at you.
Me either.
And if you're like, man, we're going to give this stuff up because we think he's that good, and you're in Jacksonville, he's a
one of one. And so, whatever he is, nobody else has him.
No. He can play both sides of the ball. I'm fine with that. Jacksonville, I mean, it's not a destination city.
I've been there recently.
If you're like, hey man, I'm going to Florida, everybody's like, oh shit, where you going, man? Where you go? You go to Miami? No. You go to South Beach? No. Or you must be going to Fort Lauderdale? No. Orlando? No. Tampa? Nah. Sarasota? Key West. You go to Key West. You go down to Key West? No. I don't know. Destin. You go to Destin? Beautiful beaches in Destin? No. Where you going? Jacksonville. The fuck?
Dude, last year was the first time I've ever been to Jacksonville. It sucked.
Oh, it
sucked. As I was I was like, I'm in the heart of the city.
Yeah.
And I was like, where is everything?
It's on the Blue Bridge. There ain't nothing else outside that Blue Bridge.
They're like, hey man, you got to go like 10 miles towards the actual beach if you want to like have a good time. Okay.
Yeah, man. I lived in Jacksonville. I dated a girl who was from there. I've been out there a few times. I was like, what is this shit? It sucked. So, but I can say it now because I know my girl ain't watching because it's late. I know she's asleep. So I can just drop all kinds of stories about Jacksonville, but it was just trash. So anyway, good for that, right? The Shador. Okay, here, can I ask you a question? I know, Catch. We're this is you and I at all times. We're like, dude, let's do 10 minutes and get out of here. And here we are 35 minutes later. I'll end it with this, all right, if we need to end it. Which is worse for you?
You said you wanted to do a 10-minute video, and now you're like, well, now we're rolling.
I know, like, because I'm like, well, I'm talking to my dude right now. So I'm like, it's like, shit, I'm talking to Catch. So now I can't stop.
So give it to me.
All right. Which is worse at this moment? Shador Sanders.
Yes.
Falling to the second round, or Quinn Ewers falling to wherever he's going to fall to or inevitably be with. Shador Sanders, people said, could be the number 1 overall pick, top 5 overall pick. And everybody, like, they've been shitting on him like, this dude is the worst interview ever. And is that a bigger fall than wherever Quinn Ewers is eventually going to land?
Philosophically, this is a really interesting question because Shador Sanders was kind of a nothing prospect. So his ascent into being what he has become is, I think people lose sight of it because he is the son of an all-time great NFL player.
Oh, shit. My girl just told me she's going to watch me live. Fuck.
Oh, well, all you really said was that you once lived in Jacksonville and dated someone.
Well, I didn't say I lived there.
Oh, I thought you said you lived there.
If I did.
Which is, now it does make sense. If I must have misheard you because there was a part of me that was like, well, yeah, of course. Yeah. Anyway.
Shit.
Hi.
Okay, go ahead.
Hey, if we'd gotten out 10 minutes ago, we wouldn't have had the Jacksonville discussion. Look,
it's not my fault.
I think that there's like a Ashton Genty type story behind it. Money B, I see you. Yo, I tell you what, for $20,
Money B, he put out a 20 spot.
Yeah, I'm gonna let him just hop on in. What up, drunk Unk? Who gets drafted first, Quinn or Milroe?
Oh, it's Milroe at this point. I mean, look, Money B, I listen. Everybody who's on this channel knows where I've been as relates to the Quinn versus Milroe conversation. I've been really clear on that. And it looks like I'm going to be wrong. Okay? Because at the end of the day, now here's the thing. It's interesting, Catch, because people did project that Milroe would be a first-round pick. There were some projections out there.
Absolutely.
We are at pick number 32, and that's at Kansas City. So we're pretty sure that Kansas City is not going to take a quarterback, right? I don't need to know who Kansas City is going to take. I know what they're not going to take.
No, exactly. You just said it right. Exactly.
It's not going to be a quarterback. So it's going to be interesting because when we get into the second round, third round, it's going to be interesting where guys are ranked. And so I think Milroe is going to go ahead of Quinn. Now, I'll stay true. I still think Quinn is better than Milroe, but what I think don't matter. It's all going to be about what the NFL scouts think.
Man, you get in the second round, and it's all about your situation, really.
Yeah.
It really will be about. I can financially, it is what it is. You'd rather be a second than like a fourth round pick. But there are situations where guys that end up being fourth round picks go into more preferable situations than a guy who's a second round pick, just depending on the dynamics of everything.
But the thing is, Catch, I feel like this. When teams get into the second round, they're gonna go tonight, tomorrow morning, and they're gonna look at their draft board and they're gonna see a bunch of guys that they had first round grades on as institutions. Yeah. They're gonna say, I can't believe this receiver, offensive lineman, defensive tackle, whatever. We had a first round grade on him and he's available. And so unless someone really said, like, I had a first round grade on, typically if you have a first round grade on a quarterback, you draft him or you move up to draft him. So I think we're not going to see a lot of quarterback activity in the second round. I think it's pushed down to the latter part, Catch. And then, I think it's latter second, early third. But I think the first half of the second round is, hey, man, let's just stack talent because we had grades on these guys.
Yeah, I think you make a great point because one of the strength of this draft, I don't even remember who I heard say it, but somebody said that the strength of the draft was that after pick 5, you could make a case that everybody between 6 and 45 are kind of the same.
Yeah.
At least in this draft.
Yeah.
And so they were saying that the real value is going to be in the picks that come now. And I think you're right. There will, because of what the talent people say, at least from a volume standpoint, it's a deep draft. At exactly this point in the draft, there are gonna be a bunch of guys. Every team's board is going to be different, but there will be some real eager teams to go get. Hey, the guy that we have 14th on our board is available at 33. Let's give up our 2 and next year's 2 and go get. You know what I mean? Like you'll start.
Yeah.
That.
Oh yeah.
And it won't. And I think you're right. I'm not convinced that it'll be for Shedeur Sanders. That there'll be some thirsty teams. The one thing I would say about round 2 is that if you can hit on the quarterback on that contract, you've got Jalen Hurts with the Eagles, or you've got Brock Purdy with the 49ers. The dream situation in the NFL is to find a quarterback on a cheap rookie deal. He emerges as your guy. And then for about a 4-year run, before you've got to pay that guy half the national debt, you get to have a roster that doesn't have $50+ million tied up to quarterback. So I do think.
Oh, hold on. Tom G came in.
Okay.
G came in.
I thought when you did that, I thought Kansas City had just drafted a quarterback.
No, even better. Because
no, it is better.
Plus, Tom G in the house. You gonna put it up?
Yes. Tom G for $100. I dare somebody to one up him.
Oh yeah. Oh no! Don't get Tom G started because Tom G don't like.
I'm not getting Tom G started. I just said I dare somebody to one up him.
House stuff too. Did he play in that?
Tom says, hook him for the 3 first rounders. You're damn right, Tom. Stark is killing it. You're damn right, Tom. Cowboys, WTF, OG at number 12. Thoughts, Catch.
I'll let you take it.
Look, I'm pretty freaking defeated, Tom, as a Cowboys fan. So I told Chad earlier today that I wanted him to go get Matthew Golden because I was like, you know what? We're not going to be good. We're not going to win. We're not going to win a Super Bowl. So let's just be fun. Let's just draft a bunch of offensive skill guys and let's just go score 30 points a game. And if we lose a bunch of 35-31 games, well, at least that's fun. Because at this point, I don't have hope. So my initial reaction was WTF. Then my follow-up reaction is shoulder shrug. What am I supposed to do? What difference does it really make? And I will say, I wasn't the biggest fan of the Zach Martin pick when it happened. I wasn't the biggest fan of the Tyler Smith pick when it happened. And both Zach Martin and Tyler Smith.
Fan of Connor Williams when it happened?
Indifferent. I thought I had hope, but I wasn't like, oh, that guy's going to anchor the line forever. So, he'll probably be a good player. They do the Cowboys, if they draft, when they have a pick as high as 12, they usually get it right. They usually draft somebody pretty badass. So I can talk myself into it's okay. What difference does it make though? So how angry should we get about, it's like if you have a kid who has attention issues, and then you go to a little league game and a fly ball is hit out into left field and he's staring at moths. How upset can you get?
Yeah, that's probably true.
You showed up at the park knowing, if there's a kid here that might lose a ball because he's staring at the moths in the spotlight, it'll probably be my kid. And so when it happens, you're like, oh, damn. But you're not like, I'm shocked. I'm clutching my pearls. No. So
are you embarrassed? Do you talk to the other parents after the game, or do you just
Well, it didn't happen.
I'm just in this hypothetical world.
When I was 8, I had a kid on my team.
Yeah.
That was who he was. And my mom and I, occasionally, when we just talk about little league stuff from back in the day, we'll mention the kid who couldn't stop staring at the moths in the lights.
I mean, they are kids. Catch, can you believe, by the way, April 24th, 10:47 p.m., we have 1,200 people watching right now.
I always say you and I should do a show every day.
We're going to die if we do all these shows, because it's crazy that we got this many people. By the way, please hit the like button. Just so you know, if you want Catch and I to come in here on Saturday and just hey, man, we're going to chop it up on some random shit. We were going to do a 10-minute show, and we're nearly an hour
I knew that wasn't happening. I did know that.
I thought it was. I literally thought it was going to happen.
I did not literally think.
You thought we were going to do
15. I hoped. But I knew it wasn't going to be 10.
Did you think we were going to be nearly an hour in?
I thought it was possible.
No way.
When I hugged Hendricks and said I have to do a YouTube show, and I said it's going to only be about 15 minutes, I did consciously. I didn't say it out loud, but I thought to myself, I might not see you before you actually go to bed.
Dude, my Titan is asleep. Titan was asleep. He fell asleep in my lap. As I was, and I had my laptop over here. I was working, and then it was time to cut. So I was I did that thing that you do as a parent, where you just move your kid over, put him on the couch. He's still on the couch.
Yeah,
Max,
fine. It's comfortable.
Max does his own thing. I don't fucking know when he goes to sleep. So he's up, and I was like, hey man. But I told him, I was like, hey man, because he wanted to watch the Inter Miami game. I was like, hey, man, I'll be back in 10 minutes. We can watch it.
Who are they playing tonight? Is it a
it don't matter. Barb's 10 top Tom G, though.
Oh, what?
Barb's 10 just top Tom G.
See, if we go 49 minutes at 11 o'clock at night, it does get a little frisky.
Barb's 10.
Barb's 10.
Tom G is poor.
He did. Damn you is what he said. Like, I'm quoting him. Damn you, Tom G. For the fellows keeping us awake and for all the content for real. When is Quinn getting drafted? Much love, Catch and Unk.
He don't care about that. You know, all Barb's cared about. He just want to let Tom G know that I spent more money than you tonight. Like Barb's 10, he doesn't necessarily.
Well, that makes Barb's 10 the MVP of the chat so far.
Yeah. Because Barb's 10's watched your show and my show. He knows where we talked about Quinn's gonna go. It ain't about that. He's sending a message to Tom G. He's letting Tom G know, hey man, big bank take little bank. Even if it's by $1, I got you. All right, where
he did do that thing though where he auctioned it up by $1.
That's it. It's like Price is Right.
But you know what? When I watch The Price is Right and someone does that, I tip my cap to them.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, that's good game playing.
And yeah, when someone's like 800 and someone's like 801, you're like,
yes.
And you're like, damn, that's messed up. You did that to that dude or woman.
You know what you got to do at that point is do like an 803. Just not so you're like, hey, I gave you a little grace. I'm not a total dick, but 803.
I'm thinking third round. Someone just says, you know what? I'll do this before we go into, fourth round and I have a quarterback that we'll see what happens in the future. That's what I think. That I'm going third round with Quinn.
Me too. I think I feel like I've had 100 people tell me they've heard that the Dallas Cowboys are going to take Quinn Ewers in the third round, that Jerry likes Quinn. Sure. Like, I think just sounds messed up that Quinn would go on day 3. I don't know that I think Quinn Ewers is a long-term NFL top 15 starter. I don't know if he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league, but like, I think he's a day 2 guy for sure. And I think that he's got a lot of positives.
Yeah.
And it's a matter of, I think, one NFL team saying, I've got good coaches. I can't teach his positives, but maybe I can unteach some of the negatives, and then we might be cooking with grease. So I think third round sounds about right to me. And I'll be honest, if he goes to the Cowboys in the third round, I'd be cool with that. Like,
I would be so mad. You can't tell you why I'll be mad. I think the best thing for Quinn Ewers, he needs to get out of the state of Texas. I think he did. I think he's been here too long. I think he's had the South Lake Carroll expectations. He was at Ohio State for a brief cup of coffee. Then he's back at UT. I think a guy like Quinn needs to go somewhere outside this state. Just be a guy. Just be a guy. He has never had a chance to just be a guy. Maybe to a certain degree, Ohio State, but just be a guy, sit back, relax for 2 years. No one really knows who you are. Like, they know you're on the roster. They don't know you were a 5-star. They don't know you played against Westlake. Like, none of that stuff. Like, I want Quinn to just go away and just enjoy being a quarterback without any pressure, grow, learn, develop, and then in 2 years, compete for a starting spot. I don't want him to be in Dallas.
I mean, that sounds like what's best for him, but
yeah, well, ultimately, that's what I'm thinking about.
I'm talking about my entertainment value.
I can't do.
And I at this point am disillusioned as a Cowboys fan. So give me an entertaining script and
let that dude go. No, be entertained by something else. See the Cowboys.
No, I'm conceding that you are correct, and it is.
You've got Stephen A. You got Stephen A. Smith to talk about the Cowboys in the fall. you may not have Shannon Sharp to talk about the Cowboys in the fall, but you've got Stephen A. Smith. Okay, I did that.
I'm
It's
gonna tell you
late.
what. The
It's
thing
11
about
o'clock. I
Shannon
can do
is that
whatever I want.
they're gonna be memos that are released. They're like, hey man, no more Shannon Sharps. I don't even know what that completely means, but there are gonna be some corporations that send out emails at the very top that say,
hey, you know who's gonna send out the first memo? LeBron James. Hey man, I appreciate if you never mention me again. LeBron at 5. I appreciate you never call me Goat James. Like what? Look, if you're LeBron,
I'm
you're like,
good.
hey, look, I had Kendrick Lamar tell me, hey, keep your kids away from Drake. And then 6 months to 7 months to a year later, now I got Shannon Sharp. Like, hey man, I'm tired of you celebrities, man. I need some no-name people around me.
I need to go back and see what Shannon said about that whole Drake K. Dot thing. Like, did Shannon Sharp low key have some Drake defense? Like, whoa. First of all, what do we really know about pedophilia? You know, like how old are we talking about?
Man, she still got her corsage up on her dresser.
I know it was
really a bad thing.
Like, she's got a driver's license that looks like you and ours. It's not vertical; it's sideways. She's 18.
She's got a learner's permit. So yeah, I mean, so anyway, if you, I need you as a Cowboys fan are going to be entertained on ESPN.
So no, but that's not how I want to be entertained.
That's how you do want to be.
That is not how I want to be entertained. But because I said it makes for a good script, I can see why you would go in that direction with it. That I think I want to go to. Oh God! Now the question is, would that make First Take unbearable? Like, what does Quinn Ewers do on First Take? Like, I feel like that's more local than national. Like, I think where you're right is that is a Dallas story that I don't think is national. But I think
for his own internal everything that we know about.
No, you're right.
Quinn, the family. If he was
third round of Dallas or fourth round to any of the other 31 teams,
man, go fourth round of not Jacksonville because they got Travis Hunter. Go fourth round. I want him into like a market that we don't talk about. So outside of Jacksonville, what's an NFL market that we just don't talk about?
The Bears.
Yeah, I'm okay with the Bears for him.
The Vikings.
Oh yeah, we never.
So he can play indoors on turf, and I think that's all right for him. And we don't talk. We don't pay attention to the Vikings really.
I'm down with that.
Like, I don't know who their head coach is. Who's the Vikings head coach? It's not Zimmer anymore.
I don't know. He's some dude.
Didn't they get like I don't know. I don't remember. That's what I'm saying. Like, you go to the Vikings, we're not tripping.
Yeah, I want Quinn to just have what he hasn't had. Just go somewhere with no pressure.
By the way, like, Barb's called out Tom G, and Tom G did not take the bait.
Tom G, yeah. I mean, maybe Tom G's saving up for a vacation. It's okay.
I mean, no, I was gonna say like maybe he bailed, but like he's in the chat.
Yeah, maybe Tom G is okay with Barb. But by the way, can I tell you something? Barb's has been so gangster this week on my shows. Barb's has been like calling out people in a gangster way where I'm like, oh, Barb's don't give a blank right now, right? Barb's been tough.
Okay.
Barb's and Ben G and Barb's, this week, I'm like, oh snap, these guys are all right. I'm with you. All right, catch. We're almost at an hour. Anything else?
Who do you think? Oh, I have two quick questions. I'll let you answer them. No, like thoughts from me on them.
All right.
Unless you want my thoughts, but then we can go. Number one, in retrospect, if Quinn could do it all over again and he could kind of like today, he could live up until today and then get a magic genie wish that says, we'll take you back to January and you can rethink do you want to transfer or go pro decision?
I don't know if we don't.
Like, do you think he would do it differently at all?
The only reason I would say no, because I think from
Everything
I heard, Quinn was tired.
Yeah.
Like he was worn out. He was worn out. Like he didn't, I think at that point, what I could tell, he felt like.
If that kid says fuck college football, I get it.
It was fuck college football.
Yeah, okay.
Like,
fair enough.
You know what? The fan base thinks I'm trash. Am I going to go to another fan base to try to prove myself? And if I don't, they're going to say I'm trash. You know what? I don't give a shit. Like, I'm just going to go pro and I'll get drafted where I get drafted. It is what it is. Like, I am tired of crazy college football fanatics. I think he's okay with that.
Second question. Who's the first Longhorn to go off the board tomorrow?
Ooh, that's a great question. All right. So
pull out your mock drafts.
Nah, because they are all trash. All right, let's look at the board because my producer put this together for me today. So Tyler put this together. I asked him to, and so
I think it's one of two guys.
All right, so we know Kelvin's off the board. We know Golden's off the board. Who's the other guy?
It was Golden, Banks, and Barron.
Banks. So Jaden Blue. Ooh, Baron Sorrell could be a sneaky one.
But I don't think he's in the top two.
No, I'm looking at it. I think Makuba is a likely guy for me. And you know what? Because it's the NFL, I'm not discounting Isaiah Bond.
I am. I don't think he's going till day 3. I think he's right now in 2025 as an athlete. He's got one thing hanging over him that teams just don't want to have to answer questions about. No GM wants their press conference after the draft to begin with, while as the pickets and the signs are showing up at the front of the facilities.
Yeah.
So you don't care about women, huh? Like I think Bond needed to get that thing completely cleared up. It doesn't sound like he has. I don't know what GM wants to show up on Saturday or on Friday and go, yeah, man, let me stand on the table and put my reputation on the line for a guy that we're not completely sure is out of the woods on this thing. So I don't know.
So your thought process then is Cam Williams? Because that's the only other guy that I would think you can put in there.
No, I think you're missing one. I think Alfred Collins and Makuba are the two. They're for me the two guys. I think Sorrell, if you told me Sorrell went in the last 10 picks of the second round, I could absolutely see that. But I think if you're asking me who do I think has a chance to go somewhere between 33 and 50, 55-ish, I think it's Collins, and I think it's Makuba, and I think Alfred Collins might be my bet. The draft right now is telling us that everybody wants big guys, and Alfred Collins is a big guy that it seems like NFL people like.
I mean, that's fair. I cannot disagree with that, even though I can't find a Orange Bloods live overlay. But nonetheless, specs? Do we do spec? Like, what the hell? All right. Which one am I doing, Catch?
I don't know. What did you just take it off at this point? We're wrapping it up.
All right, cool.
Just do that.
No, that's not it.
Oh, because that's
why do we have so many Why do we have so many options? All right, I'll put that.
There you go.
There you go. We had too many options.
I do not disagree with you.
Why is there like 15 things in the general?
Well, here, look. Everybody has their own folder now. We just need to make sure everybody moves their stuff over to their own folders.
Yeah.
And then we don't have to worry about like you sharing the buy or sell section with me. And we're taking people behind. They have no idea what we're talking about, which is a good idea and a good reminder. Guys, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the page if you haven't already done so. Thank you for watching. Seriously, we appreciate you hanging out with us in the Specs chat. For myself and Anwar Richardson, my voice is starting to go a little bit. So like I'm going to go to finish my spreadsheet on the first round with recruiting rankings, answer some questions on Orange Bloods because it was a war room. Go check that out.
Go to bed.
I'll go to bed after midnight. For myself and Anwar Richardson, who probably won't make it to midnight.
I got 5 minutes left.
Guys, have a great night, great morning, great day whenever you watch this. Thanks for watching.